Welcome to Some Say I'm Gifted, where we teach you the magic of walking in your spiritual gifts and how it can help you navigate this crazy life, and helping you understand that even though we're in this world, we are not of it. So take a deep breath, relax your shoulders, and let's get real.
Hello. I am Tess, and I am part of this beautiful podcast, Some Say I'm Gifted. And I'm here with my two amazing hostesses, Morgan and Danielle. Why don't you ladies speak up?
Hey guys, I'm Danielle. Really excited to be here with both of you ladies on this wonderful, beautiful day. And thank you guys for listening from wherever you're from, whether it's morning, afternoon, nighttime. Thank you for being here.
Awesome. I'm Morgan. Super excited to be talking about our topic today. What is that going to be today, Tess?
Mama Don't Preach.
Mama Don't Preach.
Mm-hmm. But before we get into the heat of, people, parents especially, dictating our lives, I want to ask y'all a question. And here's something, this is like our interactive part. Of course, we want y'all to interact with everything, but leave a comment on whatever platform you're listening on, or come to our Facebook, Some Say I'm Gifted, or Instagram, or wherever you can get in touch with us, and tell us what your answer is to this. So I'm going to ask you guys, okay?
Okay. Right, I'm ready.
Ready? What is the thing that is always in your fridge?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Morgan, you want to go first?
Always in the fridge, butter. I know.
Is it salted sweet cream butter?
It's gotta be salted butter.
Okay.
And it's like, there's probably 4 5-packs in there. Or
What?
4 4-packs, like
Okay.
a stock of butter.
All right. Don't call her Paula Deen. You know what I mean? All right.
For me, I have an unhealthy obsession with sour cream. So it is sour cream for me. I will put sour cream on everything, not just tacos and baked potatoes. So it is always in my fridge at all times.
Okay. Mine's JFG mayonnaise.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
That could go a long way.
Constantly. It's made in Knoxville, so it's like a Tennessee thing. But yeah.
So we've all got fats in our fridge.
Absolutely. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Which is hilarious. I feel like our parents probably had a little bit of influence on that, which leads us to our beautiful topic today. Mama Don't Preach, right? Mama Don't Preach. Parents dictating our lives. So I'm going to tell a little story about how this affected me on a really intense level. When I was 5, I got leukemia. And I know you guys are like, you've probably heard that. If not, okay, this is the first time you've heard it. But anyways, I got leukemia when I was little, so my mom signed paperwork saying that I could never possibly have children because of being exposed to chemo at such a young age and the large amounts of it. Anyways, I grew up my whole life thinking I would never have kids, right? And I was, we'll say, pretty promiscuous, and a lot of it was unprotected. So I didn't think I could have kids, right? Then, when I was 25, I found out I was pregnant. And the guy that was possibly the father, I wasn't crazy about. And I didn't want to be with him. And my mom basically told me I had to marry him. Told me I had no way out. And for not just copyright infringements, we're not saying Mama don't preach or Papa don't preach, because my dad told me to run. He told me to run like the wind from the sky. 2 wrongs don't make a right. Just get away from him. I can do this. I'm a strong woman. His mother raised him as a single mom. My mom raised me as a single mom. I didn't need a man for that. And that was my dad's way of thinking. My mom was like, absolutely not. You have to marry him. And my now ex-husband's family was the same way. They were like, you have to marry. You can't sin against God and have premarital sex. And I was like, but okay, if it's really a miracle baby, then I should be able to raise it on my own. God was with me, right? I mean, if it's a miracle baby, then God didn't care if it was out of wedlock.
He's supposed to be in your life, and you should be able to take care of him.
Exactly. So I was terrified. I was 25, and I thought my life was over because everybody I had graduated high school with had already had kids and stuff. Like, it was weird. Like, they were, we had our 20th class reunion this year, and everybody's kids are like in high school. Mine are in 8th grade. My oldest is in 8th grade. So there's a big difference. And it was really hard. My mother never told me this, but before she passed, she came to my brother, and my brother are really close, and said one of my biggest regrets was making Tess marry her ex-husband. And every day I think about how I allowed that to control me. And to this day, because I had 2 children with that man, the turmoil I go through on a daily basis with him because I put his name on the birth certificate and I married him. And I was perfectly of able mind to do it myself. And I'm not saying like, God, why'd you do this? I think things happen to especially people that I've lived a lot for 39 years old, right? And I think a lot of the reasons I went through a lot of the things I went through was so I could talk to people about it. You know what I mean? And so I could tell my story and say, hey, don't allow your parents to dictate you because they screwed up on things in their life. That's not going to make any difference. You doing what you do is not going to, it doesn't matter in the long run, right? What matters is your happiness.
Right.
Absolutely. This really reminds me of something I was actually going through with one of my friends trying to help her out with.
Oh, yeah? Let's hear it.
Yes. Her name is Tori, and she lives in Charlotte, but kind of like on the other side, so it's a little further away from me, so I can't like go help her on a daily basis. But she came from a really structured Christian household.
Okay.
And her parents told her, well, her mom, like you kind of with your situation, her dad doesn't really force this stuff on her, but her mom more so does, as far as you don't live with a man that you're not married to, all that kind of restrictions.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I didn't grow up strict like that. My mom lived with a lot of men. She was married 4 times. Yeah. She had 4 different kids by 3 different men. So it was I grew up in a very strict religious thing, but my mom didn't live that way. Right. So it was a belief. So she actually comes from a family that you don't do these things.
Right, yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Yeah, it's also a very much, shove your feelings kind of down. They don't go openly talking about...
That Southern, we don't talk about it. Okay.
Yeah, very much that. So she had moved out by herself and lived with a female roommate before, and kind of had a hard time, but was able to take care of herself, and then kind of came, was like, okay, I'm going to stop paying these bills by myself because I live just down the road from you, so I'm going to move back in with my parents. So she moved back in with her parents for a little bit, and she was there for like 6 months, and then she found a guy. She was dating casually online, and she, quote unquote, fell in love with him very quickly, and they had a very short dating experience before she wanted to move in with him.
Whoa. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
And
love is love, though, right?
Yeah,
I understand that. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. They fell in love and wanted to move in together, but her mom said no. Like, you're in my household, and you're not going to move in with a man and not be married to him. So you're going to get engaged.
So you're telling me that she moved in with her parents.
Yeah.
Okay.
After she was out on her own, moving in with
Do you think that if she would have been on her own, that was my question, do you think if she would have been on her own, not living with her parents, that her parents would have said anything?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. The parents definitely would have said something.
I don't want to I hate titling people. They're a little bit overbearing, right?
Extremely overbearing.
A little controlling.
Yeah.
Okay, got you.
Yes, definitely. Like, even though was living on her own, still her parents were telling her she couldn't get a tattoo or couldn't do this or couldn't
How old is she?
She's an adult. She's 20.
20?
20, yeah.
So, and I'm not saying that she's not an adult.
She's young.
She's young. She's a kid. In my brain, she's still a kid.
Yes.
But she's old enough to vote, go to war, get a tattoo.
She's paying her own bills.
Yeah.
She's capable.
Yeah. So in a lot of ways, that's a lot more adulting than 40-year-olds I know. You know what I mean? So does she move in with the guy or did she get engaged?
So they got engaged, and she stayed at her parents' house until the week of their wedding.
Oh, wow.
So they rented a place together. They started the apartment the week of the wedding. They moved all of their stuff in, and she slept at her parents' house until the wedding night.
What?
Yes.
And her parents were just like okay with all of this, or they obviously
told her that was the plan. That was the agreed upon plan between mother and daughter.
Okay, so can I ask this? I mean, because I like to get all the details, because my gut's telling me one thing, and my brain's like, you better ask, right? Had they fornicated? Had they been together, like,
According
biblically?
to the mother, no. According to Tori, yes.
So the sin had already been committed?
Yes.
Okay.
And Tori's mom probably knows, but just lies to herself about it.
Okay.
Okay,
so continue. So how is it going? They're married now?
So they got married, and they got married on a Friday, and they moved. They moved in together. And within a very short amount of time, like the first week, things just, they were okay. And she was like, oh, this isn't what I expected of married life. Like, he puts his clothes on the floor next to the laundry basket. He doesn't clean this. It's her first time living with a man who's not her father. Mm-hmm. So all the very typical things of what you go through when you move in with a male.
Or, when you move in with roommates.
Yeah.
Somebody outside of your bloodline or somebody outside of the home you grew up in. And I tell people this all the time. I encourage you to go live with roommates.
Yes.
That's the best way to see, because you're going to find out you ain't like nobody else and nobody else is like you. And,
exactly.
If you like a tidy house, then you need to say, when people move in, I don't care if you're messy, I'm going to clean up after you, so don't let it offend you,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, college with roommates and just understanding that people just leave their dishes in the sink for weeks at a time.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is nothing like living with my family.
Yeah. So she's getting used to this.
Yeah.
How is she doing? Is she mentally okay? I mean, did they get a honeymoon? I mean, I know they're technically in a honeymoon phase, correct?
Right. She actually took several days off work to have a honeymoon phase. They were just going to do a stay thing, and he went to work anyway.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know the details on that, as far as like if he couldn't get work off or if he just didn't plan ahead or why, but he did not take work off, so she was alone in the house.
So now I'm going to ask some little questions here now.
Yeah.
They basically got married to live together.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all. Secondly,
Well, I mean, they were in love, and she did say, like, I see this as my forever man. Like,
has she been in a lot of relationships though?
she had been in very abusive relationships previously. She was actually raped in her first relationship.
Oh my gosh, wow.
Yeah, and her parents, she came to her mom and said, hey, he just raped me, and her parents said, oh, no, he wouldn't do that. He's a good country boy. So, yeah, it's very toxic mother.
I'm covered in cold chills.
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
So there's a lot we could open up here.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to talk about this again so maybe we can do to be continued on the next episode, because I've got a lot of questions here. Let's start from, did she get any help after she was raped?
She came to me and my friend and talked to us, and we lived closer at the time, so she was able to come to us on a regular basis, and we tried to protect her and comfort her and encourage her to break up with him and tell her parents. We told her to tell her parents. It was a week before she told her parents, because she knew that when she was going to go to them that they wouldn't do anything. And her father and this boy were close. Their families were close. It was a small town, and it was very not spoken that he would inherit the farm. Like, they were prearranged marriaging with this boy practically. And yeah,
in the 21st century, this was going on. Like,
that's small towns.
No, I actually deal with that more than people realize, than you would think it would happen. So she gets rid of that guy.
Yeah, so that's past stuff.
So how many relationships prior to the marriage did she have? And I'm not saying you have to have 18 guys,
Yeah,
I'm not saying there's a magic number, but I do think you need a little bit of world experience.
She's promiscuous. She not
Okay.
terribly, but
she's not a floozy, but
she probably a few boys in between.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple relationships, a few handful of boys between. We'll say that.
Okay.
So yeah,
Not her first time around the block.
okay.
Okay.
She
Not
had
her
some
first
experience
rodeo.
under her belt.
All right. We'll leave it there. Okay. So how is she currently doing? Because it sounds like she might have got a little help, but not really. It sounds like she didn't heal from the original traumas.
Not terrible, no.
And the fact that she felt completely and totally unheard from her parents.
Yeah, terribly.
So it sounds like she's taking all that, and then she thought, I'm going to do this to make them happy, and I'm going to do what they asked me to do. Mm-hmm. So
Expect
how
him to do.
is it now? Do they have the shared banking account?
So yeah, they during that first week where they got the apartment together but weren't living together before the marriage, they went through premarital counseling through the Christian church, and they merged their bank accounts and full-fledged did everything that her mother told her to do.
So she really didn't have a choice in much. Like, in her eyes, she really didn't have a choice. She was just
I
going
don't think
on.
she looked at it that way at all, did she? I think she
No,
thought
I think she was just listening to her mother.
she was being a good little girl doing what she was told.
Yeah. Like, that's what she felt she had to do. So it was just like...
almost grateful. Like, thank you, Mom, for teaching me what to do.
And for being supportive of me. She's probably never had that from what I'm gathering.
I think they really connected during that, that engagement period. I think they really connected.
Had they connected ever before?
They go through spurts where, if Tori is being very behaving and doing what the mother wants, then they have a great relationship. But the second that the Tori steps out of line, the mother comes and will yell at her, scream at her, and
So it sounds like old mommy dearest has some issues.
Yes.
And I don't know if you know this much about her, so this might be a dull question, but did the mother have the same experience growing up?
Most likely, a very Christian household where they were.
Well, there's Christian households that allow anything. The Christian aspect shouldn't be a part of it. Is it strict? Is it regimented? Is it like, if you want to have a baby, you must find a man, fall and court him, for 90 days, marry him.
They don't believe in divorce,
Well, it's not an Easter bunny. Divorce is real. And we'll talk about that for sure on another, but I don't believe people are like, I don't believe in divorce. Okay, sign this paper, and we're divorced.
Right.
Now you don't have a choice but to believe in
It
it.
happens every day.
Yeah.
All the time. That's why they have divorce attorneys.
Yeah, so how is Tori doing now?
So Tori went through a lot more. The husband, not boyfriend, husband, hasn't been acting very husbandly in the marital bed. Since being married, they've been married now almost 3 months, and I think they have had relations.
Intercourse. We can say sex.
Okay.
We can even say they boinked.
They boinked.
They boinked. Boinkers. Those boinkers, Tim.
We need a sound effect for boinking.
Okay, yes. Wow, wow.
No.
They didn't do that kind of boinking. Okay. So
Very few times they boinked.
So in 3 months is 2, 3, 4 times?
I wouldn't say 4.
Oh, wow. For newlyweds.
For newlyweds.
That's crazy.
Yes.
And she's 20?
And she's 20.
So young.
Okay, let's just ask the regimental questions, okay, first. Is he functioning? Is he healthy?
Supposedly healthy. He's an extremely heavy smoker, to the point where he's actually
Marijuana or tobacco?
Tobacco.
Okay.
He's having coughing fits where he actually, before they got married, passed out and wrecked his car.
What?
Because he was coughing so much.
How old is this man?
23-ish.
How many years he's been smoking?
Apparently, since he was a baby, I guess.
23?
How southern is this family? Okay.
What? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So is he getting any sort of is
Medical
he going to the doctor?
treatment.
No, still smoking, still drinking, still. Oh, well,
Alcohol.
actually, at the beginning of the relationship, Tori had said, my father has had alcoholic issues. I don't want alcohol to be a part of my household.
Yeah.
I'm okay having a casual drink and socializing and that kind of thing, but I don't want daily, nightly drinking in my household. And he totally agreed with that. He said, I totally understand why you wouldn't want that. Your family has a lot of alcoholism on their side, and
I'm sorry, mouth breathing because I'm just in flabbergasted. Go ahead, continue.
So yeah, he was at the beginning, before they got married, he said, I respect your boundary on that, and I'm not that heavy of a drinker. I'm fine with that, no problem. And there were a few other things where he seemed very ideal. I understand why she was okay and happy to marry him, because he came to her being like, yeah, I am happy and healthy and want to create a happy, healthy life with you. And then she got catfished.
Did she get catfished, or she just not know this?
I was gonna say she didn't live with him, so how would she have known all these
And
things?
listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. If you can date somebody long enough, and I'm not saying 6 months isn't long enough. I mean, I've known people that are still married today that knew each other 6 months.
My parents only knew each other 6 months and got married.
Mine too.
But at the same time, how old were they? They weren't 20. You know what I mean?
My dad was.
Mine were not. They were much older.
But you don't have to live with the person, but you need to spend as much time with the person as you can, because I'm not saying marriage is for life, but the goal is that, right? We don't have to marry for life, but the goal to try to marry, that's what we're going for, right? We don't want to sprint, win a marathon, and that's a funny running joke for my husband. That's for you, honey. But does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we need to do like there's the 3-month rule. That after 3 months, a lot of people change. You see their true
Because
personality.
they just can't hide themselves for that long.
So if you can't live together, if your parents are under strict regimental, whether it's Christian or just, they're trying to control the situation, why not go on trips with each other? Or spend time with the people that they have lived with? Like, does he put his underwear in the dirty laundry bin? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, ask the questions.
Yeah. Did he ever give you a hard time cleaning his room when he was a kid? Like... Did mess bother him? Did he get nervous in social gatherings? I mean, There's so many things I could go on. So we'll just cut this real, to the bone for a second. Okay. No sex.
No sex.
Smoking like a freight train.
Smoking like a freight train.
Drinking pretty consistently.
Yes, yeah.
Do they do date nights? Do they go out?
So they weren't spending any intimate time together, just like relationship wise, like sitting on the couch and doing things together. He actually started just playing his video games constantly. And funny, a minute ago you actually asked about if they joined their checking account, because he spent a lot of money out of the checking account without telling her, like, hey, I have this big bill coming up, which was his back taxes that he hadn't paid from the previous year and didn't tell her about, and left like $40 in there for her for gas. And was actually that same day, he's like, didn't tell her, actually. He didn't tell her. She used to open the checking account, saw that there was only $40 left, and said, what the fuck? And he said, oh, yeah, and I'm going to stop at the gas station on my way to work, so good luck.
What?
Like,
yeah.
So is she like okay?
So she wasn't okay. She called me and told me all of this, and I was like, whoa! Are we in the time frame to get an annulment?
I mean, technically we are still.
Well, in the state that she lives in, she looked it up and she did not qualify for any of whatever the requirements are for an annulment. Apparently it's not just a time frame.
I thought it was like less than a year.
I thought it was too, and that's what I told her. I was like, I think if it's within 90 days or something, you can to return it.
Yeah.
But
like Amazon.
Apparently not in the state she lives in. So,
well, if you don't consummate the marriage, but I don't. 90% of the time, they don't really want to know if you had sex or not.
Yeah, that was one of the requirements. But there
was. So let me ask: is this a lavender marriage? I mean, is it okay for y'all know what a lavender marriage is?
I do not. What is?
Please explain.
Yeah.
Okay, a lavender marriage. It was a term in the '60s when the color lavender really stood for homosexuality. Mm-hmm. So lavender marriage, it's more popular. It's becoming more popular today because of life, but. It's when one of the people is homosexual and the other person is what we call a beard, whether it's male or female. Okay, so both people know that one of them's gay.
Gotcha.
Okay? They have sex. It's all consensual. They try to get pregnant so they can have kids, but they do it so that they're accepted by society. And they can share health benefits, life insurance policies, all that. And I mean, usually it's based upon friendship anyways, which marriage is, but it's a way to allow somebody to have social norms, kids, a family, and not go through the rigmarole. So is that what this is? Has she said there's a lavender marriage?
No, she definitely didn't insinuate that she thought he was gay at all. I had asked her previously, because she told me that she didn't have sex for so long. I was like, so when you guys do have sex, does he ask you to do anything different? And she was like, no, he didn't seem to have any previous.
Had he had a lot of relationships before?
I'm not aware. I don't know.
Okay. Wow.
Fascinating. That is a fascinating
situation.
So
is she mentally, at the moment, like if you called her right now, would she be okay?
So at the moment, she is fine. She's happy, and they recently adopted a dog, and she is, in my opinion, in denial about everything that's going on. She was in an uproar and had decided to divorce him and had gotten a hold of a lawyer and asked some questions and was in the process of it, and he came to her, she came to him a few times saying, hey, I'm not having any intimate time with you, like emotionally intimate time with you, I'm not having a sexual relationship with you, I'm angry, I don't really want you to even touch me or get near me. Like, they're very angry and hostile to each other. They're both saying that they don't want to even come home to each other. Like, she's communicating with him and he's communicating like, I don't care. I don't want to do this. So they're both on the same page as far as they're not happy. And then he says, oh, by the way, my mom, my aunt, and my brother all have bipolar disorder.
Oh.
Has he ever been tested?
He has not been tested for bipolar disorder.
Or any, I'm not,
He is-
like, I'm going to be honest with you. Have you all ever been to a psychologist and been tested? I have. And I'm absolutely on the spectrum.
Yeah, no, I believe that I am. I've not been tested, though.
But I think everybody should go.
My mom didn't have me tested.
You're funny.
I tried.
But
that's genetic, right?
It can be. It absolutely can be. I'm not saying that he's showing signs because I don't know this kid. Like, I don't know him. And I'm not being mean, but it doesn't sound like she does either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At all.
I don't think she knows what she signed up for.
Yeah.
Well, I think she thought she was going to get away from mommy and daddy, which sounds like needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And she wanted to live life. She probably didn't like living with a roommate. So now we're at, you got to marry a feller. Mm-hmm. So let's ask. I would love to have other people's opinions on this, what they think. But at the same time, what would you do in her shoes? And then I want to know what you do, and I'll tell you what I'll do. How's that?
Mm-hmm. I think that if I were... Well, I would have been in a relationship somewhat similar to this.
Oh, no way. You don't say.
We're not going to go into that today. But old me probably would have done exactly what she's doing now, which is kind of sweeping it all under the rug and saying, oh, it could be okay.
But you weren't ever forced by your parents.
No, I was in a similar situation where I moved in with somebody and this stuff started happening.
Yeah.
But I was not forced to marry this person.
No. It was quite the opposite.
Yeah. But currently she is doing what I would have done before I realized some other things about myself and just sweeping it under the rug and saying it'll be okay and fixing things with Band-Aids.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say, I grew up in a household where there were definitely high expectations. I don't necessarily know if I would say strict, but there were high expectations. So I think if I were still have been living with my family, I probably would have ended up in a similar situation. I think it was only when I moved away and, went hours away and started living with my current husband and realizing hey, this is the situation we're in. I have to see if I'm going to like everything about this man in order to marry him. But I had to do that outside of the household that I grew up in. So I think if it were before I would have moved out, I probably would end up in a similar situation. If it was after, then I think it would have been different. But if I were in her position, I would do everything I could to get myself to a happier place. I would go seek help, in whatever way that is. Maybe go talk to somebody about things, outside of the family or close friends, and just get other people's opinions. Just see what other people are saying.
Knowing what I know now is where I'll answer this at. When I was 20, if there wasn't any chance of me being pregnant, I would have been like, yeah, I'm not marrying this guy. Why would I marry him? And I would also, if I wanted to stay with him and I, wanted to move in with him, I would, but I would not put my name on a lease. I would not be bound to him by any way. I wouldn't rush to move in with him either. I would have dragged it out as long as I could till I got to know him. I don't care how much in love I was. Because, not that it's abnormal to know this about me, but yeah, there's a little bit of commitment issues with me. But at the same time, maybe that's not a bad thing, Like Chuck and I, my husband and I were together, 3 years before we got married. And people were like, aren't you going to get married? We're fine, So I wanted to make sure that it was right, especially now because I have children and I don't want, but even before that, I wasn't out trying to marry everybody, So I have a different concept of marriage. And to me, I always wanted it to be a lifetime thing because I saw so many people ruin marriage after marriage. So, no, I don't think I would have rushed to marry him. If my mom would have told me, you can't be with him if you don't marry him, I'd have been like, well, don't try to fix your life through me. And that's not anything new. That's something I would have told her. This is terrifying. Mm-hmm. So what's Mama going to do when she gets a message from the cops saying, your daughter, she's disappeared or whatever, and her husband's here, and we think he's a pretty good suspect? She gonna blame Tori, or is she gonna blame husband, or is she gonna blame herself?
No, she'll blame Tori. Tori went to her and told her all the same things that she told me, and she said, well, you married him and you stick by him. You chose this relationship and you're stuck with it. So, that was her advice. She also said you could go talk to your aunt who had a similar relationship in the past, but we don't talk about that. But you can go talk to her.
Wow.
Well,
So I think we should definitely be praying for Tori and her family. In the meantime, we need to talk to Tori and see what we can do to help her. Because I think ultimately what this situation really needs, and if you guys, when I disagree or chime in, please do. She needs to love herself. Tori doesn't love herself, does she?
No.
She's looking for that Band-Aid quick fix, right?
yeah.
So,
Which I do believe you know Tori.
yes.
And Tori has plans, hopefully in the spring, to come see you and take some classes from you.
Yes. Actually, I mean, if it's okay to say, I think I'll be working with Tori sooner than the spring.
I hope so.
I think we'll be do some counseling.
I think that would be very beneficial for her at this moment.
I mean, I didn't know all these details.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I mean, especially knowing what we
I'm
know
trying
now.
to compose myself, okay? This is...
Trying to take it all in. I mean, that's a
I'm
lot.
putting my hand over my mouth because I want to be like,
No, it's a lot. I think that Tori really needs a good support system right now. She needs friends and just to know that she is cared about and loved so that she can start that journey of self-healing and understanding that she is worthy of love too.
Absolutely. Tori is just a ball of light. And possibly, I will say that Tori was at my wedding to my husband. And honestly, I was starting to freak out as I was getting ready to walk down the aisle. And she went, "You got this." She said a lot of encouraging things and then kind of patted me on the butt like you do a baseball player, And among some other things and said, "Take a drink of this," and said, "Okay, go." And that's it. And I did it. But it was just last minute jitters with me. I love my husband very much, but Tori's a wonderful, wonderful person. So it's heartbreaking for her to be in this situation. Here's a place for you all to come to. This is a safe place, no judgment in any way. So if you ever need help, you ever need us, the best ways to reach out to us are on Facebook, Some Say I'm Gifted, Instagram, Some Say I'm Gifted, and somesayimgifted@gmail.com. Is that right, ladies?
Yes, correct.
You can look me up on Facebook, Tess Ray McKittrick. I'm easy to find,
Good luck spelling it.
hard to miss.
We would love if you all would like, comment, subscribe, especially, and please,
Yes.
yeah, and we would love your advice or your thoughts on
Input.
this.
And leave a comment, a review.
Yeah.
We would love for all those wonderful things.
Absolutely. We wanna know.
And we want to know what you keep in the fridge all the time.
Yeah,
Did your mama tell you to do it? You know what I mean? And the moral of this story is, guys, I should probably sum that up a little bit. shouldn't I?
Sure.
Just because our parents think that they have to have the loudest voice in the room doesn't mean they do. It's our life. It's our time to do what we want to do. We lived in their households, their regiments, their control. When we decide to spread our wings and fly, do it.
It's okay.
We're all better for it when we do. And you will come back to your relationships with your parents. And it will mend and it will be better. But this is a hard place. As a mom, God only knows how I will feel when my babies leave. But I want them to go. And I don't want to hold them back. So please know that you all are loved. We love you. God loves you
So much.
And reach out to us. Hope y'all have a wonderful day, night, morning. And we will talk to you soon.
Thank you guys.
Bye, y'all. Love ya.